What's up, everybody? It's your shot Buie back again. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button as I upload videos on a weekly basis covering the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. This is Ballin' with Buie. Day 2 of March Madness is now in the books. This round of 64 has been concluded, so let's jump into what happened in Day 2. It wasn't as a historic day, I would say, when it comes to college basketball for the second day as it was in the first day, but there was still a lot of action, a couple upsets. So let's jump in. Gonzaga handled their business easily. They dominated 98-55. First close game in the bracket going down in orders. OU versus Missouri. I did not expect Oklahoma to win this game, and they did. Ended up pulling out 72-68 without their second leading scorer Davion Harmon. I don't know where this OU's been for the past couple weeks, but they showed up for the biggest game of the year. They showed up when they needed to show up, so shout out to them for doing that, I guess. And Brady Manek. We have found Brady Manek because Brady Manek has been missing for the majority of the season, but he has been located, thank goodness, because he dropped 19 points and was a big reason OU was able to pull out the victory. Now they advance to a second-round matchup to face Gonzaga. I mean, it would be a historic upset if OU is able to pull it off. Do I think they're going to be able to pull it off? No, I think they're going to get absolutely demolished. Gonzaga is just too good, and they're going to advance easily, I think. But you never know. It's March Madness. Anything can happen, so we'll see. Just wait and see what happens. And 5, Creighton versus UCSB. This was kind of my pick, my high seed pick to advance to the Sweet 16, and it just didn't pan out. Creighton ended up getting the victory 63-62. They were so close to getting the dub. Like I said, I had them advancing all the way to the Sweet 16. But obviously that's not going to happen because Creighton advances to the round of 32 to take on Ohio, who did pull off the upset that I predicted over Virginia, just because Virginia was dealing with COVID-related issues and didn't get to practice, and Ohio was able to take advantage and get the win, 62-58. And moved on down, USC versus Drake. USC kind of had a slow start. They were in a little bit of trouble against Drake. Drake had the lead for a little while, but USC ended up pulling away in the second half and get a 72-56 dub to move on to face Kansas, who also struggled against Eastern Washington for the majority of the game, quite honestly. The first half, they were down at halftime, and then the second half, they were down for a good portion of the second half, but then they ended up winning 93-84. The scoreline doesn't really tell you the story of the game, but Kansas was able to get the victory to move on to the round of 32 to take on USC, where I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup. I think USC is going to get the win, but we'll see what happens. You never know. Oregon versus VCU ended up getting canceled due to COVID-related issues, so the higher seed automatically advanced, which was Oregon. So they basically got a bye week. It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. You get the rest, but you also prolong the amount of days that you haven't played a basketball game. And Iowa took care of business easily, 86-74. Moving on to the East region, Michigan, another 1 seed, handled their biz. They got an 82-66 dub. And LSU versus SBU. I didn't think LSU was going to be able to pull it out, but they pretty much dominated the entirety of the game. And they ended up winning 76-61 to move on to face Michigan. Now, I have Michigan advancing to the Elite 8, but this could be a trap game for Michigan. LSU could pull off an upset, and I think if Michigan advances, I think every game here on out for Michigan is going to be a trap game for them because they haven't looked hot here lately. They look good today, granted, but I think they need to take every game with a grain of salt because it's gonna be tough for them to make it out of their region. I think they have a very difficult region. Colorado versus Georgetown. Man, I thought Georgetown was going to be able to pull off an upset because they came into the tourney so hot, but they got absolutely dominated by Colorado. It wasn't even close at any point. And Colorado won 96-73 to move on to the round of 32 to face Florida State, who got a fairly comfortable win. They ended up winning by 10. That's going to be a pretty good game, Colorado versus Florida State. The winner could potentially face Michigan if Michigan's able to make it to the Sweet 16. And BYU, UCLA. Now, like I discussed yesterday, UCLA won, and I thought Michigan State would win, but I predicted that no matter who won between that first 4 games, they would move on to beat BYU, and that's just what happened because UCLA looked really good and they were able to beat BYU, and now UCLA has a chance to make it to the Sweet 16 because UT leave it to Texas to mess everything up and get upset. Texas was a Final Four team in a lot of people's bracket, not my bracket, but I saw a lot of analysts before the tournament began. They had Texas in their Final Four. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what they saw. Now, I had Texas advancing all the way to the Sweet 16, but not to the Final Four. But they ended up losing 53-52. They fouled with about 1 point something seconds left, and the team drilled their free throws. But Texas going home, round of 64, Big 12 champs, going home packing. Everyone in the Big 12 had won their first round matchup until Texas. So way to go, UT. 7 UConn, 10 Maryland. I thought UConn was going to be able to make some noise. I thought they were going to be able to advance to the round of 32 and potentially face Bama. And I didn't think that they would be able to beat Bama, but I thought it would be a very intriguing matchup and UConn might be able to make some noise. There were a couple people who also thought the same. But Maryland controlled pretty much the entirety of the game, and they were able to handle their business against UConn to set up a matchup against Alabama, who it was close for a little bit, but Alabama was able to pull away and get a 13-point win. So that closes out the round of 64. Roll through these round of 32 matchups. Got Gonzaga versus OU, which I had Gonzaga coming out of the round of 32 easily. Creighton versus Ohio. My team I had advancing right there is already out, so I guess I'm gonna roll with Creighton. USC Kansas, I think USC is gonna be able to pull up the upset against Kansas. Oregon Iowa, I think Iowa's gonna easily advance. Michigan LSU, I got Michigan, but beware, LSU could pull off an upset. Colorado Florida State advancing. UCLA ACU, I got UCLA. Even though I originally had Texas, but they lost clearly. But I think UCLA has a good chance to make it to the Sweet 16. And Maryland, Alabama, I got Alabama. So another action-packed day of college basketball. Sweet 16 is going to be resuming for March 27th and 28th. Can't wait. That's what's going to be the topic of discussion for the next couple of days, pretty much. So tune in. Deuces.